Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans and Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. Today, I want to put something on your mind that you want to think about, especially if you have children and grandchildren. You want to make sure this type of information is passed down to them because it has been lost on many of us because we don't read, we don't study what has happened in the past. The majority of people just do what they're told to do. They don't even think about it. So we want to talk about something that's very detrimental. And you see it now. You see what's happening with it now. And this is this depopulation decline that these people keep talking about. Keep talking about population decline, abortions. You can get an abortion if you want to. Blah, blah, blah. The whole thing is just putting an end to life. And life on this plane, life is always going to permeate, you know, throughout the ages. But if you are intentionally trying to end life when nobody ended yours, and to think, have an attitude to think that this is something that you should do, just remember what goes around comes around. Always keep that in mind. What you do will come back to you. This is why Indigenous people of America need to get back to the way they used to do things, how they used to see the world, and how the world wanted to come and usurp everything you had because you had it like that. Depopulation change. You ever hear the World Economic Forum, all these think tanks, all these financial institutions always talk about depopulation. But what I find hilarious about when they talk about depopulation, they never talk about depopulating themselves. They always talking about depopulating you. And what I mean by you, this program is mainly for African American Black people who identify as that. Because when somebody names you something, it's like a dog. When you name somebody something, see, Black people, when people came over to America, the people who you call Black today didn't introduce themselves as that. They introduced themselves or, told the people who came here who they were. They didn't tell them they were Black people. But through the years, how those people are referenced as is what other people reference them as. And over those years, the Indigenous people have accepted what they've been called by other people so much that they call themselves that. Is that how it goes? Let me know in the chat, because I don't want to just be up here sounding stupid, even though I'm not, but damn. So this depopulation control, Here's the article. When you want to go to Scientific America, May 4th, 2023, to read the article. It's about a 5-minute read. And these people saying the world would be a better place if we were depopulating. Who do you think they're talking about when they talk about depopulation? Themselves? No, because they would all be doing it. They're talking about you. And not just you, people everywhere where they want minerals, where they want land, where they have to get rid of people. Stop the growth. It's always talking about you. And we're in Central North America, what's called the United States. The indigenous people in that region, many of them are in the Caribbean, South America, because remember, America is one. Central America is one place. It didn't have all those lines and demarcations when these people came over here. People stretched all over the place. People set up camp all over the place. It wasn't like you have it now, like a zoo, like a zoo. Every place is cordoned off and is ran by another place. Those people who were there before all that happened, they got confined. They got comfortable with the confinement that they've been put in. And all you got to do is ask them. They'll tell you, yeah. And ask you, why are you asking that question? So the depopulation agenda is to get rid of the indigenous people because they're becoming well, they always been a problem. So now they're bringing reinforcements over. Your talented 10th has failed you miserably. Go read Carter G. Woodson's Miseducation of the Negro. It tells you, and he's one of them. Those talented 10th hasn't put up a school system for the indigenous people here to prosper off of. Haven't even thought of it. Their job is to do what boss tells them to do. They've been doing it for the past 200 years. I don't, what? You have to understand that. You have to understand that people came over here and made laws way after your people, and you follow them. Ideas, religious customs, education customs, all the new people that come, the indigenous people, do what they say. Then act like they don't. Isn't that what Cat Williams said? They do it and then act like they don't. Now, this is everybody. Don't get me wrong. This is everybody. But I'm talking to the Black African American Negro people in the United States. That's basically my audience. If your great grandmama didn't come from here, I'm not talking to you. Your great grandmother came from somewhere. Shouldn't you be in her home, protecting her home? The people who call themselves African American and Black, they don't do that. I'm talking about as a nation. Yes, a few families, a few families and clans that do that, but it's not enough to reach the masses. And if you listen on social media, if you listen to the people talk, you, you'd be embarrassed. They're learning information and not even going to the source to get it. They're just getting information and putting what they've learned and the other ideologies that they've been trained in and mix it up. All I can do is listen. What did the indigenous people, what were their religious customs or spiritual customs? You ask people, they don't know. Like they didn't have one. But we'll follow dope dealers that wreaked havoc on your community and call them God today. This is what the people who call themselves Black African American do in the United States of America. I'm not saying they do this in South America because I don't know. I'm not saying they do this in Central America because I don't know. I'm not saying they do this in the Caribbean because I don't know. I'm not saying they do this in Canada because I don't know. But the so-called African American Black people in the United States, you 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 understand that a ploy was ran on them. Just talk to them. Any of them. Any of them. These youth that are coming up, they know something's amiss. They know something's wrong. Don't teach them what you were taught to get you in this place. Teach them who they are. Because these people are big on the depopulation thing. I didn't know pre Planned Parenthood was as big as it is. That's what we think we can do when we don't want a life. We just get rid of it. Really? So what about the kids that baby would have had? You're wiping them out too. And the kids they would have had. We don't even think about it. Then it lowers your chance of being born somewhere else. Because remember, what goes around comes around. You're not a human. There's something inside of you. You got to find out what it was that keeps your heart beating, that keeps your brain functioning, that keeps pulling oxygen in, kicking carbon dioxide out. You're not a human. You're in there somewhere. What are you here to do? What are you here to do? And like I say, this is for everybody. It's for everybody. What are you here to do? The people in the United States, the indigenous people who in the United States, their job is to depopulate this part of America so other people around the world can live comfortably. They do it with efficiency, don't you? See, that's never talked about. Whenever you hearing these people talk, they're not saying, what are they saying? Nothing. Nothing. It's the perpendicular circumference of the hypotenuse. All those words mean is nothing. They mean nothing. Those are the words many of you like to hear. I don't know, like a person has a mastery over the English language that just gets you wet. They're not saying nothing. That's 99% of the language that's being spoken in America right now. You really need to check out the quantum grammar, how these words are turned around and tricked, and you think it means one thing, but it means something else. That's normally how everybody in America is taught, especially if you go to public school. Because I experience all the time. How was public school for you? It was horrible. Why are you sending your children? And then you know how they get that look on their face. This what's going on in America today, 2024. I had a friend in England that said it's not like that. It is. Because what I thought about America was all that, people in other countries, they only get what the news or whatever sends them. They're thinking one thing. I'm like, no, it's nothing like that. They're like, well, what about the civil rights movement? I'm like, the civil rights movement is what got us in this mess. Everything she thought she knew about the history over here, she thought the so-called African American and black was living large. I'm like, "Huh? No, no. Their land was taken. Well, their land wasn't taken. They gave it away. They left the land and moved to the concrete. Then she started to see it because same thing with her people. She's from the Philippines and she moved to England and she can't fathom going back to the Philippines. She became a part of that concrete jungle, the same thing as the indigenous people in America did when they moved away to the city. You remember early 1900s, everybody moving up to Chicago from Mississippi. What you think happened to the land in Mississippi? Other people moved in and took it because we want to live in concrete. Isn't that all the African American black person talks about? Is the streets? Aren't you disconnected from the land by walking on concrete? Thick soled rubber shoes, concrete in between you and the ground? Isn't that how the African American lives? See, these are things we don't talk about. We don't teach our children this. We just trained them to adapt to that lifestyle. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, the same way. Those people's grandmothers, great grandmothers moved from the South going out there to get military jobs and brought the whole family with them. Then act like they don't even remember where they come from. When they do that, other people go and take their land. See, they don't talk about it because they're embarrassed. They're ashamed to talk about it. So since you don't talk about that, don't talk about nothing. Don't say anything because when you do, you just confuse everybody. And then where you move to, the people that got you to move there make up rules and domesticate you on a whole nother level. And that's what you grow up to be. Is or is that not how it's done? Is it how it's done? See, you never have whatever so-called black or African American or where you're trying to go and learn something. They're not teaching that. They teach you the same old garbage that's been taught over the past 200 years. Nothing. So the depopulation agenda, because it's starting to, I mean, it's getting out. These youngsters are starting to say, dang, they're starting to figure out the Africa story themselves. You got nurses saying, no way that could be done. You have people giving festivals that had, you have people in certain cities who get grants to make sure that that story is passed down because they don't think about it. But ask a nursing student, ask a 17-year-old girl in nursing school who knows you have to turn the body, who knows you just can't lay on wood, on a boat, on a ship, rocking the waves. Ask her if the people on there urinating and defecating on each other, ask her what the people on that ship, would they survive? You could figure it out yourself if you thought about it. You could figure it out yourself if you thought about it, but you don't think. You haven't been taught to think. You haven't been taught to analyze. You haven't been taught to put two and two together. You have just been told what to do. Santa Claus is coming to town. You don't ask nothing. You just wait for Santa Claus. That's how the majority of people are trained. But you can tell that the tide is turning. I'll tell you how. Remember a few weeks ago, somebody tried to assassinate Trump? You heard more people saying, nah, that didn't happen. The people who still believe it, ask them this. So if you've seen Trump lately, how comes nothing's wrong with his ear? Ask them that and watch the look on their face. This is how people are trained. This is how people are programmed. You can tell them anything. I know people, you tell them, you say, they'll tell you they don't like to think because it gives them a headache. People say that. What people believe. So if you get a chance, go to that. You can find it online too. Scientificamerican.com. May 4th, 2023. And this chick is not, the lady who's writing it is not from here. Go see who she is. Many of you already know. Scientific American, May 4th, 2023. Population decline will change the world for the better. That story isn't written for you. That story isn't written for Black people. That story isn't written from African Americans. It's written about you. You're not taught about this. None of your places where you go in and get information from. Where's the information hub in the city near you where you can go talk about real stuff? No. Where you can simply tell the truth. Where is that? It ain't happening. So, with the explosion of social media, you see what you're getting. All you're getting is what people explain into what they did for boss to make boss money. That's all. I don't care who it is. This is what you hand down to your children. Yeah. So the gender confusion. I'm sure if you've been following the Olympics, and I just followed this because it came up in a news feed. Are they letting male boxers fight female boxers in the Olympics? Really? This is the culture, this is the mindset that is taking over the world. This is the mindset that is taking over the world. And you hear nothing on either side. Nobody says anything. Just go along with it. That's how the African American is being past 200 years. And, I know many are going to say, well, what about the civil rights? Well, so you're 60 years away from the civil rights bill. Well, I'm talking about as a nation. I'm not talking about individual because the leaves make up the tree. The leaves make up the tree. One or two leaves just don't blow off and become multi gazillionaires off the tree that he comes from. And this is what I mean about the so-called African American. They don't have no information from the people that they come from. None. Won't won't get it. Won't ask for it. Won't go seek it. Just put their heads down in shame and just keep going, thinking they're gonna make it far. You're not. The nation, the world is represented in America now. You can't go to some of these places where these people are coming from in and they support you like you support them. What happened? But you support everybody and arrogant about it and won't support each other. How long you think you're gonna last? Let's see, how long you think you're gonna last? Hmm? And the acting, all the acting, lying, bullshitting each other, playing around, digging the hole deeper, cuz always mad at each other. Are you serious? The depopulation strategy is always at the forefront. You can go back, it's always at the forefront. And the depopulation is not talking about getting rid of people now, which that is the goal, but people reproduce. See, that's the whole thing with this gender confusion. There isn't no confusion. You have a mother and father, right? Your mother and father got together and repopulated the earth with you, right? You say you're going to take yourself out of that equation so that formula can't be replicated. Who taught you that? Who taught you that? And what's this you like to get all indignant when somebody calls you on it? What's that? Y- You are putting a tear in the fabric of life and have this attitude like you have the right to do that. And well, there's there's a myriad of ways you can do that. If you can't do what somebody done for you, sit down in a corner somewhere. Don't talk. Don't talk. Your mama could have aborted you, right? She stuck it out. She gave you a chance, but you want to make sure nobody else gets one. And all the people around feeling sorry for you. I'm not. That's why the gender confusion is on the board, y'all. Not just to stop you, but to stop anything that was coming after you. That's why the gender confusion is a part of the depopulation strategy. Another one of the wrongs of the depopulation strategy is to keep them dumb. Keep them dumb. And we'll have them for another 1,000 years. So listen, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. But remember, the gender confusion is a depopulation strategy. I mean, people gonna cry about you lying. I can back it up with common sense stuff. More common sense than you inhaling and exhaling. I can explain it. Where a 3-year old could understand it. The language, remember, check out the language. So, lady got into it with me today because she was bragging about how she was educated and she had all these degrees. And I asked her, like, you know what a degree is, right? Yeah, you know how. So I asked her, I'm like, well, what's agree? What you mean, what's agree? Arrogant. You know how it goes. What's agree? You said you have a degree. What's agree? She had to look it up. Mastery, superiority, skillful. I say, so what's a degree? She knew what the prefix D meant. And you should have seen the look on her face like, huh? Mhm. Baby, you don't know nothing. They tell you what they doing, and you still pay a shoulder blade for it. Copper colored lifestyle. Baby, you're the greatest. Diamond in the rough, lawn care. What's going on, man? So when I think of you and I see you, I think of one of those stewards for the land, keeping it beautiful. So when cats just tell me, "Oh, I cut grass," and nah, you caring for the land. In light of life, how you doing? Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Well, we're not going to be on too much longer. I know it's Saturday night. It's boogie time. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, just wanted to bring that up because it's, that gender confusion. They're trying to, when they put it in the Olympics, the whole world is seeing the same thing at the same time. So it was something in the Olympics in the open ceremony where they, the LGBT community, they, yeah, they made a mockery out of everything. So this is for the whole world to witness at one time. Pay attention to what's happening, and pay attention and look at the signs of what's coming up. You ought to be able to see it. We tell you, but we're ignored. So we'll go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you next time. Peace.